decade has been grind mode, but the first 6 months was like ultimate grind mode.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was walking into. I wasn't an idiot. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to have to work hard, do it consistently, and then the results will come, right?
Right.
So the first 6 months this was when Conor McGregor was on the rise. It was every morning we'd wake up, we'd watch the Conor McGregor documentary, and I picked up the book Keys to Law of Attraction by Jack Canfield. And I read that book, and that was probably if anyone were to ever ask me what book should I read, it'd be that one, because it's an easy read, but it has a lot of power. So I read that book, and it shifted my mindset, and I started to understand what I tell myself is what I become. So the first 6 months was like, all right, I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best version of myself. And although I might not have the Lamborghini right now, I might not have the $1 million, I'm going to do what that person would do in my shoes right now with nothing. So we would wake up.
Lamborghini now, right?
Yeah, I'm getting my second one.
Your second?
Probably in a couple weeks.
Welcome, guys, to today's episode of Overcoming the Odds. Today we have a very special guest, someone I've known for a long time, and I have a lot of respect for this guy, and I'm excited to share his story with you guys because he doesn't tell a lot of people a lot of the stuff he's going to share on here with us today. So today we have Jon Pena.
My man, JD. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Glad to be on.
Thanks for coming in, bro.
Of course.
Dude, you look good.
Hey, just trying to stay healthy, stay wealthy. You know what I mean?
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Well, I want to get into your story a little bit about everything you're doing with Limelight, at the sales agency, in and out of that, all the success you're having. But a lot of people see where you are now. They don't know what you've been through. And that's what I want to talk about, overcoming the odds in your life. Why don't we start with where you grew up, bro? Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Definitely. Well, first, thank you for having me on. A lot of respect for you and what you've done throughout the years. And
thank you.
One thing is, damn, man, you've always been a real one, and I appreciate that. And for you, I know that this has been a long journey for yourself as well. So congrats to everything you've accomplished as well.
Thank you.
So, damn, I mean, for me, I grew up in a literal farm town, Selma, California, in the valley. So I'm a valley boy. And
like the LA Valley?
No. Central California.
Okay.
Yeah, but they call it the valley.
All right.
And
just for anyone that didn't know.
Yeah, I grew up in a traditional home. I had no choice growing up but to get straight A's. I couldn't do anything aside from that. So in elementary, junior high, high school, I had to perform at the highest level when it came to education. And that was just something that my father and my mother, they imprinted that into us. When I say us, I say me and my brother Nick. And that was something that, coming from a father who was a Marine, no choice but excellence was the choice.
Yeah.
So education was the roadmap to quote unquote success. And what we were bred for was go to school, get good grades, and what do you know? You go into a good college, right? And then how do you spice that up a bit? You operate as a high level athlete. So wrestling was something that was like the it factor in our city. A lot of towns, a lot of cities, football is kind of like the number one thing, right? But where we grew up, the football team wasn't that good.
Okay.
But guess what? We did print state champions, state placers, and that's like the number one thing that people look to. That's what brought the community together. I mean, where Nick and I grew up, my brother Nick was a small farm town with, I mean, less than 20,000 people as far as the population. You know, there's one high school and there's one junior high in the entire town. It's so small that people would be in like a 2-3 year relationship with a girlfriend or boyfriend and realize, oh shit, this is my cousin. Like, we gotta cut this thing off. You know what I mean? So it's a really small farm town.
Okay.
You know,
Selma's the raisin capital of the United States or the world.
You need raisins? I got you.
No raisins.
Okay. Yeah, raisin capital of the world.
Okay.
So small farm town. Yeah.
So
and
you didn't grow up wealthy family, a ton of connections, around a lot of people with a lot of money.
No, I mean, I definitely would say there's middle class, and we were a little bit under there. I mean, my father was like at Burger King when he first started out, and this is when Nick and I were younger. We didn't have enough money to get our own spot, so we lived with our grandparents for a little bit. And then as we got into like later years, 8, 9, my parents finally bought a home, but they had to work up the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
My mom is an escrow officer, so she started off as an assistant, and throughout 10 years of hard work, she then started to make 6 figures. And then my father, he was working in sales at Comcast, and again, entry-level position. This is after Burger King. He went and got a sales job, and then he worked his way up to a 6-figure position. But it took a really long time, and that obviously paid off. But yeah, growing up, it wasn't like too crazy. I mean, I can't say we were dirt poor, but I ended up experiencing what it was like to have nothing when I went to college, because I was on my own.
So growing up, your parents instilled high morals, high ethics, discipline, work ethic into you, gave you a high set of standards to live by and expectations. You did well in wrestling, you and Nick both, and after that you went on to college. Where'd you go to college? Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so in high school, I was always fascinated with like art and design. I picked up a pencil when I was probably 5 years old, and I couldn't draw, but what I did to get the skill was I would trace, and I would go and find like the coolest graphic, and I would put it against the window, against the light, and I would trace over like my favorite characters. Right? I'm low key like a nerd. You ask me any Marvel questions, like Star Wars, like bro, I know all that, right? So that's when I became fascinated with like art and everything like that. So I made it a intentional decision in junior high and high school to always take a design and art class, because I enjoyed it. So in high school is when I started my first business, and it was a clothing brand. It was called Nocturnal, right? Didn't do anything crazy, but my junior year, we probably sold 250 shirts. My senior year, I probably sold 350 shirts. And
I think I still have some of those t-shirts.
You probably do, right?
I still got a couple.
Exactly. So that was something where we did it legitimate though. Me and my business partner, Raul Rubio, shout out to him.
Shout out Raul.
Yes, that was someone who kind of like saw my artistic ability, and he's like, dude, let's start a business together. So as I'm in high school, we get an LLC, we start a Shopify store, we do all the designs, and I went through what people would call YouTube University for design. So I learned how to do Illustrator and Photoshop, which are platforms to create all the graphics that you see through the highest level brands or the lowest level brands. It's all created on Illustrator and Photoshop. So I learned how to do that through YouTube. So I became fascinated with fashion. Every birthday, holiday, whatever it may be, I only wanted one thing, and it was clothes. So I enjoyed that side and that channel. So for college, I decided, okay, who are some of the best designers, and where do some of the biggest brands come from, and how can I get connected, proximity? So I chose the Bay Area, San Francisco State, and I went to school out there. As a freshman, you weren't allowed to major in apparel design, so I chose business because I still had like that entrepreneur spirit, and I had to wait until I was done with my first year in college to apply to get into apparel design. And I'm one kid, and there's like 3,000 people that applied to get into this program, and I was one of maybe 30 people that got selected.
And this is going into your sophomore year. You got
of college,
into apparel design.
And I was the only dude in there.
Oh wow.
It was all, well, there was one gay guy, but yeah.
Okay, we won't get too much into that, but
no, yeah, I stayed away.
All right. So you get into apparel design, and did you end up finishing college? Tell us a little bit about the transition out of college.
So my third year, I'm midway through. I went a little bit on the dark side, I'd say. I was doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing. I got into, the first time I ever smoked weed was in college, I'll be honest. Right? And
which is like, it's legal in California, guys. For those of you guys watching,
it's legal. And in the Bay Area, it's like, dude, you'll smoke with the police officer. Like that's it's like normal out there, you know. So college, partying, things like that. Got into it, and I got unfocused. Right. But I always still had like the desire to be the best that I could, but I lost sight of that for a little bit.
And were you working in college?
I was. My first and only time I ever turned in a resume was I was a pizza cashier.
Okay, so
and
working at pizza.
But I was intentional with my decision though. The reason why I chose this pizza shop on this street, Haight Street, which is very famous in San Francisco, is because 2 doors down was one of the most successful Bay Area clothing brands.
Okay.
And I was actually,
wow.
I knew how to play the game.
Yeah.
I gave the
Surround
homies
yourself.
free pizza. They knew who I was. They knew my name. And as I'm going through this transition from college to like, leaving, I was actually in the process of getting an internship for this clothing brand, Black Scale. Shout out Mega.
Okay.
Right. But what
That's
happened?
a streetwear brand, right?
It's a streetwear brand.
Okay.
It's pretty big. So what happened was though, in college, I got done with general ed 2 years in, and then year 3 you start to get into the fun stuff, which is the actual like apparel design and studying fabrics and all that stuff. And I took a sewing class. This is my third year in college, and I got behind that sewing machine and I was like, dude, fuck this. Like I don't want to do this. And I start to do actual research of like, how much do fashion designers make? How much do apparel designers make? And it was low.
Okay.
It wasn't a lot back then. I realized, man, like I want to be successful, but how am I going to do it making 50, 60, 70K a year? It's not going to happen. And simultaneously, as I'm having these thoughts, my brother Nick calls me and he says, hey, I'm working at GC's office, Grant Cardone's office, and I met this guy. He's special. He's smart. He's business minded, and his name's Mike Barron. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave Grant's office and I'm gonna work on this business with Mike. And I know Nick. Nick would never make a decision that he knew wouldn't be for the benefit of the future.
Right.
So for him to leave Grant Cardone's office at this time, a multi-millionaire, to go and work with this guy named Mike Barron that I never even knew, met, heard anything about, I was like, okay, well, I mean, he must know what he's doing. So he said, I had this like background of Photoshop, Illustrator, design, everything like that, and the clothing brand. So he said, I want you to act as an intern for like graphic design and logos, because it was a marketing company, right?
Okay, gotcha. Doing websites,
like so the whole nine.
Okay. And then what year is this?
This is 2015.
Okay, so this is before the whole wave of everyone starting a media and marketing agency.
Before the
you guys were ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve, yeah.
Okay.
Instagram was like very, very new.
No
right?
TikTok yet. No.
Nothing. It was Vine back then. You know what I mean? So I asked myself 2 questions when Nick called me, and he gave me this opportunity. I said, number 1, okay, if I wanted to always go back and get my degree and finish college, could I do that anytime, in any moment in the future?
Sure.
And the answer was yes, I could. I could go right now and go back to SF State. I have my credentials. I have what I've completed, and I could go finish and get my degree.
Right.
Then the second question I asked myself was, would I have this opportunity to work with Nick and work with this special person named Mike? And the answer was no.
Right.
So I'm living in the Bay Area. I'm not even living in a room. I was so broke, I was actually living in a kitchen.
In a kitchen, okay.
In
like
a kitchen.
Air mattress?
I had a bed. I was grateful for that, but I was living in a kitchen. So it was section.
How many guys did you guys have in this apartment? It's like a normal thing in college, right?
Yeah. It was a 1-bedroom, and there was 4 of us.
Okay. Gotcha.
And in college, especially in the Bay Area, that's like kind of normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And rent is expensive in San Francisco. For
I
those
paid,
that don't know.
I paid $900 to live in a dining room. So
Okay.
there's like the dining room, and then right next to me, every morning I woke up and the first thing I saw was a sink.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's how my life was in the Bay Area. So
you left the Bay Area.
I left the Bay Area. I literally went to class that next morning. I had all my fashion materials. I had just got like scissors, the whole kit. And I said, who wants all this? Because I'm not coming back. And the whole class was like, wow, like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, bro,
you're literally the only
I'm out.
guy.
Like, I looked at the teacher. I said, thank you for everything. I've learned so much. Something else is calling. Like, I'm leaving school. And I left the Bay Area. So I left and I moved to San Diego. And that was the first time I ever met Mike in person. And Nick sold me on the idea. I thought he had an apartment and like a little stabilization,
little setup.
But I come to find out that it's a 300-400 square foot office, and Nick
a home
pointed
office?
no, like an office,
A commercial office building.
and Nick was living there, and that became my home.
Okay, gotcha. So you moved down to San Diego. So let me get this straight. You were in a program that thousands of people apply into. Only 30 get in. You're one of 30. You have a successful internship lined up with a very well-established streetwear company. You pretty much had the trajectory of your life set up to have success in the career you wanted to go into, your passion. And because of a phone call from your older brother, you left all that and moved to San Diego and thought you were going to be living the high life, beach town, and you end up living in a 300 square foot office like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, but I was all for it.
Okay,
I was all for it.
The vision was there.
The vision was 100% there, because I know Nick.
Okay,
I know Nick. You got to keep in mind, this is a person who is valedictorian of his class and a 4-time state placer and a 2-time state champion. Our name is spread throughout the corners and halls. Right now, even to this day, I graduated 10 years ago. If I walk around and say Pena, they know who we are.
Yeah. And this is and on top of all the credentials and everything, this is your older brother.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I know, okay, Nick is all about how can I put myself in the best vehicle to win.
Right.
And he had a physical injury with wrestling. That's why he left Cornell and Ivy League, right? And to do that, it's a pretty big decision to make, to leave. And he went to Grant's office, and I knew, okay, like Nick is gonna make it. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I want to be a part of that.
So you end up in this 300 square foot office. You have the vision. Tell me about what that next 12 to 24 months looked like for you at the beginning.
Yeah, good question. So first 6 months was, the last decade has been grind mode, but the first 6 months was like ultimate grind mode.
Yeah.
And I knew what I was walking into. I wasn't an idiot. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to have to work hard, do it consistently, and then the results will come, right? So the first 6 months this is when Conor McGregor was on the rise. It was every morning we'd wake up, we'd watch the Conor McGregor documentary, and I picked up the book Keys to Law of Attraction by Jack Canfield. And I read that book, and that was probably if anyone were to ever ask me what book should I read, it'd be that one, because it's an easy read, but it has a lot of power. So I read that book, and it shifted my mindset, and I started to understand what I tell myself is what I become. So the first 6 months was like, all right, I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best version of myself. And although I might not have the Lamborghini right now, might not have the $1 million, I'm going to do what that person would do in my shoes right now with nothing. So we would wake up.
Lamborghini now, right?
Yeah, I'm getting my second one.
Your second?
Probably in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew, all right, I need to put in the work. So every morning we'd hit the gym just like we would in high school, 5 a.m.
Right.
I couldn't afford, we couldn't afford a home. So
that's where you're showering.
I showered at 24 Fitness. Yep.
Okay.
And I learned how to live off of a very low means. So a gallon of water, me and Nick would split. It's $1. Rotisserie chicken, $5. Garlic bread, $3.
And you used to cutting weight at wrestling, so
I was willing to. I knew how to operate off of a low amount of calories, right? So that was for like the first 6 months. I lived in the office. Every morning we would deflate the air mattress. Every night we would fill it back up, and that's where we would sleep, right? And then we upgraded from the air mattress to a futon. About halfway in. There you go. Yeah. So that was the first 6 months. I slept on one, Nick slept on the other. Right. I'd wake up, he'd have his arm around me, I'd get it off, and we'd move on. But yeah, that was what it was the first 6 months. And then for me, I was always about leveling up and getting to the next. So cool, now we have a little bit of money, and we got an apartment. And statistically, on average, even to this date, every 8 months, I would move. But I always moved to somewhere that was better. So we ended up getting a shitty apartment, then we got a better apartment, and I've broken like 5 leases because I knew the cost to break the lease compared to the cost of upgrading my beingness
right
in a better place, I would make more money.
Yeah, they
So
have
I was willing to do it.
There's a saying I like. It says, elevation requires separation.
Yep.
And sometimes that's people, things, places,
Yeah.
whatever it could be. And, it sounds like you had to separate yourself out of the environment you were in to get to another environment. Better apartment means better people,
Yep.
better people you're going to meet, feeling better, performing better, things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. So going from there, and somehow, some way, we ended up making it though, years later.
Cool. And I know that along the way there, if we can touch on this a little bit, because we talked about this and I thought it was really cool. Along the way, you were with Limelight for a few years. You guys built to $1 million a year, doing just websites, SEO, things like that. You pursued other ventures along the way at some point.
Yep.
And you did well. And at some point, and this is really what I like talking about on this podcast and sharing with people is, you guys could be doing $1 million a year. At one point, you could be getting into 20, 30, 40 grand a month, which is a significant amount of money. And sometimes things fall apart and you have to start over, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your from high, making multiple 5 figures a month to, starting over.
Yeah. So Nick and I were always on this journey of how do we just make a lot of money on the internet without having to go to a corporate place, right? So we tried a lot of things, and I mean, you tried with us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, network marketing was probably the first step. The second was the internet, the marketing business with Mike, and we did the marketing and we did websites, and then we got an SEO, social media management, and two years in, might have been 2.5 years in, Mike and Nick made the decision of, okay, maybe it was more so Nick of like, maybe it's time to transition to separation.
Sure.
But always on good terms, right? It was all good blood, and here I am.
Pursue different directions.
Yeah, right. So I'm younger, and of course, family's number one. So I was like, all right, stay with Mike or go with Nick. So I chose Nick. It was like a no-brainer, right? So Nick and I ended up leaving San Diego, and we moved to LA.
Okay.
Because LA was always popping, and we had buddies and friends that moved there, and in a matter of months, they just started to pop off. So when we moved to LA, that was when we started to see a very fast transition as far as income and success.
Right.
I mean, I saw Nick literally go from making $5,000 to $8,000 a month to cashing in $10,000 checks a week, $20,000 checks a week, right?
And this is when you guys had moved from this apartment in San Diego, which was granted very nice, and now you guys are living in Hollywood Hills.
Yeah. So first we moved to Beverly Hills.
Okay,
Beverly Hills, and then we were working with a couple gentlemen that were really big in the affiliate marketing space, but not low ticket affiliate.
Like high ticket
affiliate, right? Like programs that are like $25,000, $50,000. And as my journey of an entrepreneur progressed, I always knew the sales guys made the most money.
Right.
So even at Limelight,
with the least amount of risk.
Yeah. Like I saw you were cashing commission checks, Nick, commission checks, Prince.
You don't have the headache of employees and insurance and accounting and all that stuff. You worry about selling a product and collecting your check.
Exactly. Right. So
shout out to all the sales guys out there.
Yeah. So Nick was selling this affiliate program, and I'm just listening in the other room, and I'm hearing him close a deal for $25,000, a deal for $50,000, and he's doing this two, three times a day,
collecting like $100K a day in revenue,
literally,
or close to it,
literally. And I'm like, damn, I could do that. So I'm hearing his pitch, and the whole process every single time was very repeated.
Yeah,
the intro was the same every single time, even though it might have been Susie or Timmy or Johnny, whoever it was, his sales process was the same. So one day I went up to Nick and I was like, let me do it.
Yeah.
I want a piece of that. And I was Nick for 3 months. No one knew, but I was closing these deals like he was. And
Right.
I instantly saw success because I just saw what he was doing. I duplicated very well. Duplicated meaning like, okay, if I say think of a red chair, you can think of a red chair. Someone with bad duplication would say, oh, I see a chair, but it's blue. Right? So I had very good duplication, and I did exactly what Nick did. I said exactly how Nick said it. I already knew the objections. I studied. I listened to him do dozens of phone calls, and I just started to pick it up. And that's when I started to really see the breakthrough, was when I started to master and learn high ticket sales.
Okay. Gotcha.
So from there, long story short, we had to transition from doing that, and we started over again. And Nick, again being like the ambitious person, said, okay, we got to go and find another lane. So he learned how to day trade, and he went and did all these mentorships in day trading and made a lot of money, had a lot of success. We saw opportunity in education. So then we started up an education platform for day trading. Okay. And that's how we cracked our first year in education. We did 3 million.
Okay. And so how many employees? How big was your guys' office? What was that operation like?
We were at a WeWork. It was probably about, considering everyone online.
This is still in Los Angeles.
Maybe this is in LA. 20 people.
Okay, 20 people.
20 people. Yeah, 20 people.
And then and the next point, you guys moved to Las Vegas, right?
And then we moved to Vegas. I had the thought of, okay, I want to save on taxes, so I moved to Vegas. And it was on paper the right move, but the wrong move because we unplugged from power. Okay. So we were in LA, we were connected with very strong people. The frequency in LA at the time was always like, who got the best watch, who got the best car, who got the best house. And us being so competitive, we were always trying to level up. Yeah. That's how we ended up in the Hollywood Hills house, right? I mean, dude, we're
driving supercars
in our mid 20s paying $20,000-$25,000 in rent, you know, me and Nick. Right. So
which
that's how that
if
happened.
We could touch on that real quick. Most people watching this, you know, that maybe don't have the same point of view as you or other people, they're going to say, well, spending 25 grand a month on rent sounds like a really dumb thing to do, right? But they don't think of, I think there's not a direct correlation. There's not an exact output to your input of that, right? Like most people just think, oh, you're wasting 20 grand a month away. When in reality, there was probably some benefits to spending that, right? Like you get treated differently, you meet new people. What was your experience like there?
I would say it has its benefits because we know how to multi-purpose the content.
Sure.
Right? Just like even today in my world with Mike, I drive a Lambo, but it's literally a billboard driving it more. And let's be real, in today's society, it's all about status.
Yeah, status and image.
Like, are you going to pay me 50 grand and I drive a Kia to learn from me?
Probably not.
Probably not.
If I don't see your bank account statements.
Yeah, right? So for the house, it was a measure of status in LA, and it was also a measure of how far can we take this?
Yeah, and helped raise your level of influence.
No, for sure, because as human beings, we're designed and operated to survive.
Yeah.
So if my rent's $2,000 a month, I'm going to figure out how to make rent every single month and pay it. If my rent's $5,000, I'm going to figure out how to make it and pay it. $10,000, and that's what I kept doing, is increasing my rent. My goal has always been to pay more in taxes every year because it means I make more. Right. So getting to that point of 20,000, I was like, okay, how do I break the status quo? How do I break my own limiting beliefs of okay, like I could actually be this type of person?
So you said the mistake was leaving all of that and moving to Vegas. Why?
Vegas, it was a lot slower. We didn't have as many connections, and we had something that was stable, where we had stable systems, processes, sales reps, and by moving, we lost a lot of that.
Okay, you lost some momentum.
Plus, it was way hot. It was way hotter.
Yeah. So you lost a little momentum there.
Lost a little momentum. So
your environment plays a key point in a direct correlation of what kind of results you're having. It sounds like.
Absolutely. It's 100%.
I like that.
It's 100% part of your success, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's a common saying, like who you are, who you're surrounded with every single day, that's what you'll become.
Yeah.
Right. So we moved to Vegas, and before I go into the next step, to answer your question of like what was like starting over, I always was under the understanding of, okay, opportunity, new skill that we need to learn that skill, and then go and put it into effect in the real world, right? So it was, all right, here's network marketing, learn how to do network marketing, execute it, learn how to be the best, and then actually have the success.
Right.
So it was network marketing, it was affiliate marketing, it was social media management, SEO, we even did drop shipping for a little bit. And as I got older throughout the years, I kept hitting the reset button. But when I started getting into my late 20s, I then realized I wasn't going into a circle, which would be start, learn, try, fail. I realized it was kind of like I was raising my own awareness about what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I saw it more so as like a upward parking lot structure that's going in a circle. Because now I could look down and say, okay, that was a good decision. I could learn from that, use it. That was a bad decision. Stay away.
You're going in an upward spiral.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So in Vegas, I experienced COVID. We all did. And everything kind of shut down. And I always felt this purpose and need to have to be beside Nick.
Yeah.
Being that he's my older brother, being that he's the one who brought me to this game, I've learned so much from him.
Yeah.
And something underneath me, layers deep, said, maybe it's time for you to go and be your own entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. I think a lot of people,
yeah,
especially with an older brother or sibling or family member or long-term friend even, you know, they have that need where, you know, they feel comfortable with someone, they trust them, and to kind of go out on their own is sometimes a little bit difficult.
Oh, definitely.
The uncertainty.
And I always felt like the younger brother in business.
Yeah.
It's like when we were younger, hey, Nick's asking our parents, can I go hang out with my friends? Yeah, you got to bring Johnny though.
Okay.
And then for business, hey, I'm going to dinner. I got to bring John.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that I was kind of like holding him back a little bit. He was holding me back a little bit. So it was kind of like, all right, I got to take this leap of faith and maybe I got to find my own lane.
Yeah.
Right.
Get your own identity.
Yeah. And during this time, I always made good money, but it wasn't like, okay, shoot, multi-million-dollar.
Right. So
I decided, okay, Nick, go and be you. I'm going to go and be me for a little bit. So I hit the reset button one more time and I said, all right, I'm going to go really, really master this sales shit.
Okay.
And I went to go sell timeshare.
Timeshares. Okay, gotcha. Interesting. That's like in a call center, 10 hours a day, making 300 dials.
Yeah, it
reading
was
a script.
During COVID, sell a 65-year-old woman more vacation whose husband died during COVID.
From COVID because they were traveling. And they're saying, don't travel, don't do this, stay home, don't go out of the house. And you're trying to sell her a timeshare
vacation.
Package.
More vacation.
Okay, gotcha.
So I went through like this 6-month sales boot camp and I got really, really good. And at this time, I saw Mike start to really pop off. And I always had a connection with Mike. It was weird. In some way, shape, or form, like I kind of felt like I was closer to Mike than Mike was close to Nick. Even though Nick was the intro to Mike, we just always had this connection, you know. So I'm texting Mike, and he's like, "Dude, I just bought a Lambo," and I'm like, "Hold up, what?"
What was Mike like the last time you had seen him before you went to work with him again?
It was in Beverly Hills. I saw him. It was Beverly Hills. Yeah, I want to say it was then. And Nick took him out to dinner, and we didn't have like a true sit down, but it was always good vibes.
Cool.
Always good vibes. But Mike was always doing his thing. You know what I mean?
But he wasn't driving a Lamborghini. He wasn't.
No. He was successful. Always successful. Always has been. But there's levels of success.
Yeah.
And then I saw him breach into that like true 1% success.
Right.
And it goes back to plugging in with power.
So Mike calls you, says, "Hey, bro, I bought a Lamborghini."
I hit him.
Oh, you hit him. Okay.
Yeah, I hit him. I was throwing the lines out because something was telling me to go this direction. Okay. And I just went with my intuition.
So what was that leap of faith like? You know, you're hitting Mike, having to almost I think the first time really separate from your older brother, at least in your adult life, make this leap and now go work with Mike.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, I felt like I was finally ready.
Okay.
And I felt like the trials and tribulations that I went through with Nick, I went through with Mike, had like prepared me for these types of moments where I'll do whatever it takes to be successful.
So you moved back to San Diego?
Well, I started working with Mike when I was in Vegas.
Oh, so you stayed virtual?
We're still in COVID. Like everything's still at home. So I said, okay, I want to bring value to him. So I'm getting deals at the timeshare place, and I say, hey Mike, let me do a sales meeting for your team.
Okay, gotcha.
And it took a couple messages, but he got me on, and I spoke to his team, and I throw game, and they were very tight knit. Mike obviously flew me the power, but it was like, you got to earn respect.
You're kind of an outsider.
Yeah, I was an outsider, right? So I went on, did the sales meeting, and he had already had a sales director who was running it. Okay. And I just saw opportunity. So I was reaching to Mike. I was like, dude, you want to build another unit together, whatever it is.
Sure.
I'm gonna do whatever I can to flow you power. So I keep reaching. And then what happened was, he's like, hey, because you have to keep in mind, at this time when I'm reaching, Mike's already doing like $250,000, $300,000 a month. Okay. He's crushing it, right? So the worst thing you could do is apply too much change to where you then lose that structure.
Yeah.
He didn't want to touch that. And here I am, me and Nick already have 2 Comedy Club awards. We've already done $1 million online, and he already has this successful organization, and I'm coming in as the outsider. Obviously me and Mike have history, but I'm like, yo, let me jump on the rocket ship. Yeah. So he hits me and he's like, hey, look, I talked with my executives. You know, these are people that are very, very high level when it comes to being trained. And they say, hey, Mike, you'd be breaking all principles by just throwing this guy in as the sales director or even like a leadership position. He has to earn his stripes. I don't care if he, won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Like, what can he do now? Yeah. So Mike was like, dude, I got something for you. You might not like it, but this is what I could do for you. You could be a closer. Okay. And I'm like, I got a black belt in closing. I said, done. So I jump on the team. I go through the onboarding process, and I'm like the bad guy almost. Like no one's like really reaching to me. No one's doing much. Obviously Mike is flowing his power, but
people felt a little bit maybe like competition,
maybe intimidation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what was inside the program, but all I said was, give me a phone number and a name. Yeah. They didn't show me how to do a contract. They didn't show me how to do an agreement. I had nothing.
Right. Because up to this point, you've already sold nutrition products. You've sold clothing. You've sold timeshares. You've sold education. You've done a lot. So you knew the process. You knew the formula. It was just plugging in the next product or the next item into the formula.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So I go in cold, and I become the top producer with the worst appointment setters.
Wow.
So to be
And what product was this for?
This is for our Closer Academy.
The Closer Academy.
But I already knew the game.
Okay.
You tell me the name, I know what it is because I've been in it for so long. Right? If you want to be the number one guy in sales, like I got this from my father. There's 3 categories. Number 1 is you have to have the skill. Okay. So you have to have the skill of high ticket sales. You have to you could be a 10 out of 10 in skill. Number 2 is you have to know there's product knowledge. Okay. So if this is to be like, you want to be a millionaire in sales, skill 10 out of 10, product knowledge 10 out of 10, because if you know the product, then you can solve their problem, knowing their wants and needs. Number 3 is behavior. Okay. You have to be on point. Gotcha. First to sales meetings, last to leave the office. Your follow up, the discipline, right? In this world, there's people who have, let's take a small business owner, for example. You could be a 1 or 2 out of 10 when it comes to the skill of high ticket sales, but a 10 out of 10 in product knowledge because you built the business, it's your offer, and a 10 out of 10 when it comes to behavior, and still close deals because your passion and conviction for the belief of what the product can solve for the consumer is so high that they believe it, so they buy from you, right? And then you could be the sleazy salesman who is 10 out of 10 in skill for sales, but you don't know shit about the car, and cool, maybe you show up on time 2-3 times out the week, but you still get deals because your skill for sales is so high. right? So I felt confident in all three of those areas. I already had personal development. I already knew the product because of just so many years of going through experiences. And I went through that 6-month boot camp in sales, and I came to the top. And Nick taught me always come with solutions. Right. So a couple months in, I saw how the sales team was operating, and we got kids 18, 19 years old making 150 grand a year with Mike.
Okay.
Hopping on sales meetings like in a tank top, and I'm just like mind blown. How?
Yeah.
What is happening? Like, imagine we clean this up. So I saw opportunity. So I made a 16-page presentation, a Google slide of how we could take the company to the next level.
Gotcha.
And I'm just a closer.
What were you guys doing in revenue, ballpark, plus or minus, at this point when you first came
about 300K.
300K
a month. That's what Mike was doing when I came in. So I saw all these opportunities, and
you're just a closer.
I'm just a closer. So I call Mike, hey, I want to go over some nice stuff that I believe can take us to the next. He's like, all right, I'm like dipping in. He's like, hold on. Let me get the executives on.
Yeah.
There's seven executives because we have a 7-division team, right?
Okay.
So he gets all of them on, and I just start doing what I do, and I know my shit. I present the opportunities, and then I got the chance to actually take the throne.
What does that mean? What happened?
I went from closer to sales manager to sales director to COO, and now I run the company.
Okay, so now you're the CEO.
I'm the CEO.
And you're operating with Mike.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Very cool. And what are you guys doing revenue-wise, ballpark, plus or minus now?
1 mil to 1.5 a month.
1 to 1.5. So about 12 to 15 million a year.
Yep. Cash collected.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this time frame of going from when you became a closer, you guys were at 300K a month. Now you're doing 1 to 1.5. What was that time frame? How long? How long did it take you guys?
We scaled from 300 to a mil in about 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
And then what about from point of view starting to now? How long has that journey been?
I came back in 2021. So it's been about 3 years now. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's incredible. You guys have taken a company from 3 million to about 15 million plus or minus.
Oh yeah, we made Inc. 5000.
That's right. I remember.
Yeah, we made Inc.
I
5000.
saw that award.
Yeah,
for those people watching that don't know, give us how do you get onto the Inc. 5000? What does that mean?
I'll tell you this: you could fake a couple things in life. You can't fake Inc. 5000.
Okay.
Like, they went through tax statements, they went through bank statements, and they had to legitimize your income.
Okay.
So they go through 5 years, half a decade.
Okay.
And they see the growth of that 5-year span, and we passed all the check marks, and
that
we got.
You're one of the fastest
in America.
You're one of the fastest growing companies in America.
Yep.
And they went through everything.
100%. And we made Inc. 500, which is a tighter class compared to Inc. 5000.
Okay.
So that's and we have all the 2 Combo Club awards and everything like that,
Awesome.
But the reason why we're so successful is, no shade to anyone out there right now, but a lot of people have an operation, but it's small. It's maybe 2, 3 guys, 4 guys when it comes to the internet game.
Okay.
Right? Like the coaching, the guru or the coach. Me and Mike, I could go and move to Hawaii for a year. Me and Mike, we could just drink margaritas, have fun, mimosas, and we'll still make this much income.
Yeah.
But because we have systems and there's 100 people. I look at payroll every 1st and 15th. There's 100 names on there.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there's a legitimate structure. There's systems, processes. We have hat write-ups for every single position. It's tight.
I like
tight.
it.
But it took years. Yeah, it took years to get to there.
Right. Good SOPs.
So now we have
good people.
We have the ability to scale.
Right.
So that's what we're focusing on now.
So just to recap real quick, you've gone from growing up in a small town, no silver spoon, nothing handed to you. You worked hard, got good grades, went to college, dropped out of a program that was your passion, trusted your older brother, got introduced to sales, business, entrepreneurship. You guys made a couple runs. You guys learned a lot, built some successful companies, right? 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, and reunited with Mike. And now you guys are building your sales agency. It's called Limelight, right? Limelight.
Yep. Cool. Well, Limelight Media is the name of the company, but
okay.
Closer Academy.
Academy.
That's whoever's watching right now. If you feel like you're stuck, you're behind, you are lost, the key to success is obviously having the right information and then operating off of that information. So in today's world, it's all about how can you have a high ticket skill set, which if medical school is your route, cool, go that way. If you want to be a lawyer, go that way. But McDonald's ain't going to take you there.
Right.
I mean, statistically, that's what I look at. Drop shipping, day trading, the success rate is pretty low. And I know because I've done it myself, right? High ticket sales is something where you don't have to worry about customer service. You don't have to worry about generating leads. You don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to worry about building a brand. You plug in with the right offer that actually provides true value to the customer, and you have the skill of sales. You can make $1 million in today's world.
I like that. There's one thing you keep saying, you've mentioned a few times I like, and we'll touch on that and then wrap up. You keep saying the phrase plug in. You say plug into this, plug into the right people. I unplugged from this, you said at one point. What does that mean to you? Where did you get that from?
Yeah, well, I would just say through personal development. And I heard Mike say this plenty of times, and that's kind of where it's like second nature to me. But you never unplug from power.
Yeah, that's what you said. Unplug from power.
You never unplug from
like
power.
That.
Like record this. I'm 80 years old, 150 years old. I'll never leave Mike, no matter what.
I like that.
I'll never leave, because I know if I want to become a billionaire, could I do it on my own? Yes, but could I do it with Mike? Absolutely. 100 times. I could do it 1 million times faster.
I like that.
So the reason why people don't see success is the underestimation of effort required to win. And me and Mike share that same understanding. We're not the founders or owners or CEOs of this business where we walk in the office at 10 a.m. after we hit the gym. Hey, how are you? Okay, are you doing your shit? Okay, and then we just leave. Like, no, we're there. We're the first ones there.
Yeah.
Mike will be the last ones there. Like, I see you guys
we're
grinding.
In the morning going to the gym.
Bro, we're still grinding.
Yeah, I see it.
Mike
don't have to be.
Yeah, Mike says this. I haven't made it, but I'm making it.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's some game right there.
So you don't want to unplug from power, because as soon as you unplug from power, I mean, it's simple logic. Like you lose access to the source.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I'll stay connected to you. I'll stay connected to Nick, to Zane, to Mike, to all these people, because they are within power.
Yeah, we're all energy beings, and if you unplug from the energy,
it's
gonna die. I like that. Let's wrap it up. What is one piece of advice throughout your life that was given to you, or you've learned yourself, that someone going through adversity right now, all the odds are stacked against them, they want to overcome the odds? What's one piece of advice that you'd want to share with them?
I just said it, but it means a lot to me, so I'll say it again. The reason why people do not see success is the underestimation of effort required to win. So we have people who join our academy, and it's 1 month in, and they're like, why don't I have a Lamborghini yet?
Yeah.
I mean, my bro, you're 1 month in, you're 1 week in. Like, you got to put in the time, right? So for those that are going through a journey of discovery to find themselves, you're going to need to take risks, and those risks will involve hard work. Nothing worthwhile is going to just be instant success.
Right.
Nothing worthwhile. Right. That. And I saw that firsthand in the businesses that we built, and seeing my brother's hand being raised when he won state. I knew what it took for him to win state.
Yeah.
So I saw that.
You're behind the scenes.
Yeah. Would it have been worth it if you got a wrestling bracket and you only have to win one match to win state? The meaning of that medal becomes less. But when you have to even qualify for state, then make it to the semis, to the final, it becomes much more.
Where can people find you on social media that will follow you?
Yeah, on IG at Jon Pena, JONPENA.
I like that. And last thing, and we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Who is someone that we should get on Overcoming the Odds that has a cool story and other people can benefit from learning from them?
Look, I've been saying his name over and over, Mr. Mike Barron.
Mike Barron.
You got it. Yeah.
Let's try to get him on here.
Let's do it. Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks
for tuning in today, and we'll see you on the next episode.